I've got a presentation about York primarily, but also North Yorkshire. So, how safe are York and North Yorkshire's roads? Well, they're very unsafe. They rank 22nd out of 50 for the police areas for the level of killed and seriously injured per 100,000. And that's part of our case for change, particularly because we're now asking for Vision Zero targets. I'll give you more about York. York went 20 miles an hour on the side streets in 2012 to 13, not the bus routes. Bishopthorpe Village will go fully 20 miles an hour this year, but Dunnington was deferred pending data from Bishopthorpe. It's because the Cabinet Member for Transport is still using the old policy document. 2020 has emailed all the parishes to vote for 20 miles an hour, and we've sent them to the parish council motion video that's on the main 2020 site. We ran Zooms on how to do it, and that's partly how Ian got 153 parishes in North Yorkshire to do it. There aren't that many parishes in York, to be honest. The outer campaign strategy is that these parishes, Dunnington, Wigington, Clifton without, Askham, Bryan and Hewitt without, have all been, I've directed them to Luke Charters, who is the Labour candidate for the York Outer MPship, in order for him to get positive publicity with 20 miles an hour and photos. And if you're in Outer York, please now email Owen Trotter, and there's his email, owen.trotter@gmail.com. He's on the Luke's campaign team. Luke can then talk to Pete Kilbane, who is the Transport Cabinet Member, who's Labour, who got in May last year to the City of York Council leadership. He's Deputy Leader. So what else are we doing? We are doing, let me just go on to the next slide if I can. Down, forward, let's get to the next slide. So the York General Strategy is that Pete Kilbane is updating the policy, and you email him, councillor.pkilbane@york.gov.uk. We've been particularly requesting 20 miles an hour outside the station because obviously as a tourist city, we need people to arrive and leave from the station very safely, or the bus station, but we're asking for change via the Transport Consultation online, which is running now until the 4th of February. And you go to the City of York Council website, you look up Our Big Conversation, Business Intelligence, and please complete it. I mean, it's very long, but anybody can complete it wherever you are in the country. You do have to give your details, but since we're a tourist city, it's fine to complete it when you don't live in York. Now, I just really want you to do the 3 bits that are about road safety, not all of it. So the policy options are policy 3.6, adopt the Vision Zero approach, work with partners, so on. And I want you to reply yes to that, of course, but we need speed limit reduction and enforcement, and to say that speed is the key feature of crash impact, because energy of a crash is half times the mass times the velocity squared. So the councillors do have powers to set default speed limits to the survivable limit of 20 miles an hour, wherever motors are mixing with vulnerable road users, which is, of course, most of the arterial roads. And to point out that London reported 25% fewer killed and serious injuries on the red route arterials. So these are very busy central London roads. And that if you're hit at 30, 56% of pedestrians would be killed or seriously injured. And that basically 30 miles an hour is unsafe, and that you need to add targets, achieve the zero by 2030, and halve the vulnerable road users KSI by 2027, and also put HGV limits in place because of the fact that mass is so important. Vehicle mass is so important in danger. So the bigger vehicles are proportionately much more dangerous. And we're petitioning the City of York Council and North Yorkshire's combined authority to reduce traffic harm. And we've got a change.org petition up for those targets that we are combining on with York and North Yorkshire. And there's a paper version as well, that anybody who wants a paper version, you can look it up on Whitby Community Network under the news section. Next bit of this is policy. You just jump ahead in the consultation to policy idea 6.4, which is to make travel safer, adopt 20 miles an hour. Now they've chosen all routes through residential areas, which is pretty much already done in York, including new developments near schools, in villages, and at retail areas and parks. Now, this is wrong because what's actually best practice is where people are, not near schools or in villages or retail parks, but wherever people are. And so that's what I want you to say on the consultation. Yes to it as a default limit, and that you need it wherever people are. Much more widely to achieve Vision Zero, because children under 14 years cannot safely cross traffic going over 20. You've got to put it on all the main routes within the ring road, the outer ring road, plus some rural lanes as a cycle network in. I've now got an e-bike and I want to cycle out to Dunnington and Wigington and so on. And I need to be able to get there on the main roads going to and from those villages, because they're not all connected by off-road cycle routes. So I need more than just within the inner ring road if I'm to get around York and its villages. How many speeding tickets are issued by North Yorkshire Police? You're welcome to guess in the chat. Go ahead, be my guest. The answer is the police won't say, so we don't know, because they've refused a recent Action Vision Zero, which Action Vision Zero are the national organisation for Vision Zero, but they refused a freedom of information request to tell us the speeding ticket details by speed limit. And only 2 forces in the whole country refused, and 2 haven't replied. So they either don't know or they won't say, because it's incredibly low. So on the City of York Council policy idea 9.2, it says carefully consider where greater enforcement of traffic offences could make a beneficial contribution. We know already that there's almost no enforcement, because the police won't tell us what the enforcement levels are. So I'm suggesting that because the new mayor, who's going to be elected this May, will also be Police and Fire and Crime Commissioner, the mayor's got loads of money in the devolution deal and can expand the dashcam reporting, which is currently called Operation Snap. This potentially makes every traffic offence enforceable in all locations. And when the London Met did this, it can now enforce 1 million dashcam reports as fixed penalty notices. And it makes a massive difference to the police capability. And I also want to see much greater parking enforcement of pavement and blocking cycle lane parking, average speed cameras on the arterials, and requiring speed limiters on council vehicles and the council contracted public transport officers, including the buses and the bin lorries. All the HGVs have got to be speed limited, because they're really dangerous in a crash. And all these we just need better policing upgrades. There's the details for Operation Snap, which anecdotally has 1 staff and a huge backlog. And it currently doesn't let you put in your dashcam reporting more than 10 days beyond the offence. So it's not even advertised properly. It's not working, Operation Snap, well enough. So there's also an air quality consultation at the same time. Everything's happening at once because of this going towards a mayoral combined authority. So please also answer the air quality consultation and basically say the same thing, plus that 20 mile an hour reduces fuel use by up to 30% with smoother driving. You don't get the braking that is a waste of fuel and also causes pollution through brake and tyre wear. And if you're not already a 20 Splendour member, please join us for stickers and ask your councillors to pass a motion at your parish council, and reminding you of the parish council motion video. That's 7 minutes there. And if you've got questions, please ask me questions